I generally prefer complex games. I love systems and depth, but Diablo 4 has forced me to question whether complexity actually equals value. Diablo 4 is supposed to be a relatively casual ARPG, one where loot is king and you don't need complex math just to understand what your build is doing. I know, that description alone is enough for a lot of people to mentally check out, and honestly, it almost made me do the same. But then something happened. Before we get there though, we need to talk about the problems, because I know I'm not alone here and everything I'm about to say is coming from a new player experience, not someone who's blasted through the entire endgame yet. Let's start with the campaign, both of them. In my opinion, they're terrible, they're lame. And it's not only the story beats, I'm looking at you, Nyrel, it's how often the game actively stops you from playing. There are long stretches with little to no combat, following someone around only to stop and search for a statue or a dirt pile. Yeah, a literal dirt pile, just to keep the campaign moving. When a friend and I were going through the latest expansion, there were moments where a vine wall or a fallen tree blocked our path. We had to backtrack and hunt down a quest marker without fighting a single demon along the way. Yeah, let that sink in. And for a game that is literally about killing demons, I want to do more of that, not less. I do appreciate that you can skip some trash fights by riding your horse, but the horse itself doesn't feel great. It's not terrible, it just lands kind of squarely in the meh category. And then there are bugs. During a campaign boss fight in the latest expansion, me and my friend ran into an issue that literally stopped us from continuing. There was 2 ghost wolves and they would constantly regenerate health even though we were damaging them correctly. We probably spent 5 or 10 minutes trying to figure out if there was a mechanic we weren't doing. And then I left the party and rejoined as he was about to kill the boss, and we were both able to continue with the campaign. For an expansion that's been out for a while now, I really don't think that should still be happening. Put all that together and you have a pretty rough experience. Honestly, if I hadn't been playing with a friend during the campaign, I don't know if I would have pushed much farther and gotten into endgame. But I'm glad I did, because this is where the doom and gloom starts to fade. And I know this is the part where Path of Exile players are going to completely disagree with me, but coming from Path of Exile, where half the battle is path of building, I genuinely felt relief. I could glance at a legendary, read its affixes, and immediately know whether it was worth keeping or not. That alone started to change how the game felt for me. It created a lower pressure experience where I could just finally focus on what Diablo 4 does best. And that's, yeah, you guessed it, killing demons. Here's the part I didn't expect. The game is not actually as easy as I thought. Sure, there are moments where the difficulty feels a little cheap, with huge AoE attacks and sudden deaths that come out of nowhere, but honestly, I think that happens in literally every ARPG. What matters is what happens after you die in Diablo 4. In some ARPGs, dying feels like punishment. You lose experience. In Diablo 4, it feels like it's an invitation to try again. Instead of pulling me out of the experience, Diablo 4 just throws me right back in. All I have to do is repair my gear if I die, and then I can open a portal and jump into a pit or a nightmare dungeon and immediately test my build again and again. That sets up a scenario with very little mental overload, and I appreciate that. Lately, I've been intentionally pushing higher pit levels earlier than I should just to see where my build breaks, to see what needs adjusting and how far I can take it before the game pushes back against me. That loop alone has kept me engaged far longer than I expected, especially at night. When I'm tired, I don't want to study a game. I just want to play one. There's this meme that Diablo 4 is a dad game. You have to have 6 kids, 5 wives, and 10 jobs to play that game. I don't think that's accurate. Diablo 4 isn't easy. It isn't simple per se. It's efficient. It's not a game for people who don't care. It's a game for people who don't want to spend hours learning systems just to start having fun. And that's coming from someone who loves systems, which is exactly why this surprised me so much. This isn't Diablo replacing Path of Exile for me, it's Diablo reminding me that value doesn't always come from complexity. Diablo 4 adds just enough complexity to scratch the itch with build decisions and optimization without turning every single session into homework. And that's when the loop really started clicking. I was genuinely surprised by how well the game kept me engaged and how much floor loot actually mattered past just the campaign. I'd run a few pits, get some drops, head back to town, upgrade my gear, repair, and then do it all again. There's no pressure to juice maps, no obsession over currency per hour, and no constant background stress. There's just play. I spent a lot of time thinking about why that worked so well for me, and I came down to a few main points. Number one, the feel. The skills are snappy, killing demons feels fast and responsive, especially as Paladin. Does Holy Light delete the entire screen right now? Yeah. Is it busted? Yeah. Is it fun as hell? Yeah. And that focus on feel really can't be overstated. And then there's the sound design and enemy density. Compared to what I remembered from launch, the screen is actually filled with enemies now, whereas before you had to get on your horse and ride it into the distance to find 2 or 3 mobs. Right now, every fight feeds a steady drip of dopamine that all ARPG players chase. And when loot drops, yeah, that sound still hits to this day. There's something almost nostalgic about it, especially if you played a lot of Diablo 3, just to hear legendary drops back to back consecutively. You kill monsters, you hear that sound, you get rewarded over and over again. And the crafting, it is readable, it's approachable, and more importantly, it doesn't intimidate you at all. You can make meaningful changes to your gear without anxiety or having to look up a guide, without feeling like you need something open on the second monitor just to get the affix you want. Path of Exile's crafting system is incredible, do not get me wrong, but it's also insanely complex and amazing only if you've invested the time to learn it. Whereas in Diablo 4, you don't have to invest to learn. Diablo 4 lets you improve your gear without asking for mastery first, and I don't think that's a flaw, I think that's a choice. Diablo has never set the bar for the genre through complexity, it's always done it through feel. So what is Diablo's core strength then? Well, it's the power fantasy. The fantasy of saving a world from a demonic invasion. Tell me, why is Doom so iconic? Why were Diablo and Diablo 2 so unforgettable? It was the atmosphere, it was the tone, and that weirdly primal understanding that demons are bad and we should murder them in droves. Some of the boss fights Diablo 4 delivers, especially with the lesser evils and even Lilith, were pretty impressive. The mechanics, the build-up, the atmosphere leading up to those fights, it's really hard not to enjoy them. Diablo 4 will never come close to Path of Exile in terms of depth, and honestly, I think that's exactly why it deserves to exist. Not as an afterthought or a lesser option, but as a different answer to the same genre. And it's made me question how much complexity I need to enjoy an ARPG at all.